The rate of electrification is gaining momentum, but one thing is clear, the foreseeable future is multi-fuel. One company that has made rapid strides in the last couple of years is Shriram Pistons and Rings, the country's largest piston maker and the largest exporter. To talk about the future of powertrain, we have with us Mr. Srinivasan Krishnakumar, MD and CEO of Shriram Pistons and Rings. Mr. Krishnakumar, thank you very much for talking to AutoCAD Professional.
Thanks a lot, Ketan. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure as always. KK, as we like to call you, how have you seen the transition to in the last couple of years? How has the market moved? I mean, there was a lot of talk about electrification, but definitely, you're a piston maker, ring maker. You must have seen the business evolving in multiple directions. Yeah. How do you see the shift, sir?
Well, to tell you exactly, I think the shift is happening. Okay. And I think the shift is happening at a good pace. Now, there was a time when 6 years back, people predicted that in 5 years' time, more than 25% of the market will become electric. But we have seen that that's not so, primarily because there are multiple things that needs to be lined up when such a big powertrain shift happens.
Right.
Including the infrastructure, including many other things.
Price, cost,
and everything. So
scale is still low.
That's true. So as a result, I feel, and I've been always saying this, and we have always said that we'll be the last man standing with the ICE powertrain also. But at the same time, we have been also working on our different strategies. So I see the shift happening. It is happening for sure, but it's happening at a pace which we feel will give us longevity of the ICE engine for the next 25 to 30 years easily. So I feel that the multiple powertrains will coexist at the same time, and we have to be present as a powertrain solution provider that we have been always. It is necessary for us to be able to provide solutions for all multiple powertrains. So we are there in ICE powertrains, we are there in EV powertrains, right. We are now there in CNG applications, LNG applications, HCNG applications where hydrogen is blended with CNG, and then we are also there in biofuels and multiple hybrid solutions.
Fantastic.
So as a result, we want to be present in all the powertrain solutions. That's our aim.
So a couple of years back, you did start an EV division, right? Help us understand how have the last couple of years been in terms of how the business is moving, how the customers are reacting, how the penetration is evolving?
Well, I personally feel it's doing very well, but it's not, it's not that it is going to scale up overnight,
right,
into doing millions of motors,
right,
but it is moving at a pace at which the EV business is growing,
right.
And we as a strategy also, we have been always trying to invest as the market grows,
right.
And you will be happy to note that we have now started a completely new factory.
Fantastic.
In Coimbatore, where the factory is almost ready now. We should be moving into the new factory by sometime in June.
And it's a dedicated
EV motor controller factory. We already have our division in Coimbatore,
right,
which manufactures the motors and controllers. We make motors right from 250 watts right up to 350 kilowatts.
Right.
And we make controllers, all kinds of controllers.
Right.
And we have all variations of motors, which is
right,
the mid-drive motor, the hub motors.
Fantastic.
Everything is being done there.
Right.
And so I'm very happy to state that the new facility will also be ready sometime in June. And we are scaling up there, and the business has grown over the last 3 years since the time we have taken this business. I am very happy to state that we have got all the approvals. We are probably one of the few who give the motor and controller coupled together.
Fantastic.
We are also one of the few who have got the ICAT approval as well as the PME drive approvals for all the motors and all the subparts that we make, because we have localized most of them.
Fantastic.
And localization is going to be a very big part of this entire powertrain solution. So it's going to be a very competitive industry, but at the same time, it's going to be an industry where scale will be required. Because if we are going to see 20 million motorcycles made in the country, you need 20 million motors.
Absolutely.
Right? And we today in the country, we do not have even a scale of more than 3 million or 4 million motors.
Absolutely.
So there is going to be a huge scale up that is going to be required, and there's going to be a huge amount of investments that will need to be done continuously over a period of time to be able to cater to this kind of a business and cater to this kind of a market, and then be able to also position ourselves as a technology player. So we are doing both.
What is the kind of capacity and commitment have you made towards the EV business? And, will you be catering to right from two-wheelers to trucks?
Yeah, so our aim, when I said that we are making right from 250 watts right up to 350 kilowatts, is right from small two-wheelers, including bike kind of a two-wheeler,
Yeah.
going right up to the commercial
Vehicle.
So we are going to make the entire range, and the scale is really going up. At the time when we took, the business, we were looking at something like 400,000 motors.
Right.
Now we are looking at much higher scale, because we have to really cater to the kind of business that we are in today. And we see that all our customers are reaching out to us and saying that, okay, every motor is going to be a different animal for different customers.
Right.
As a result, it is very necessary for us to have that scale and that variability that we are able to.
Could you share with our readers or viewers as to what is the kind of capacity that you're putting in place there?
We are scaling up. So it's not very easy for me to say what kind of capacity for each segment of the market.
But scaling up is not a challenge.
It's not a challenge.
It's got to be based on the market demand.
Yeah. It's based on market demand, and today you can see the penetration is something like let's say all put together around 3-4% of the business, and we expect that we are going at a very good rate for that kind of a
How do you see the mix in the future, given the fact that we started the conversation saying that future is multi-fuel? So how do you see the mix of EV for yourself? And
so this is a very
tricky question.
Very difficult question, because the entire market depends on the psyche of the customers.
Right.
Customers are extremely price sensitive, acquisition price sensitive. India is a market where people are extremely acquisition price sensitive. As a result, what happens is the solution which gives the best result and at the same time at the best price always wins.
Right.
Now, there are multiple things that are happening in the powertrain solution business. What is happening is people are trying out multiple fuels.
Right.
And we have now come to a situation where a biofuel or a CNG with HCNG blended, hydrogen blended, can give a emission norm which is going to be better than a thermal powered electric motor solution.
Absolutely.
So unless we have a completely renewable powering up our motors, it's not actually going to replace the kind of emission norms that we are going to get out of other solutions.
Right.
So I feel that if we really look at the well to wheels kind of a scenario, people are going to, over a period of time, realize how the technologies are going to move.
True.
And they are going to then put the money, because today on the EV side also, people have started realizing that the batteries have a life.
Absolutely.
Right? The batteries have to be replaced over a period of, let's say, 5 to 6 years.
True.
Now, if the batteries have to be replaced in 5 to 6 years, and that's half of the cost of the car.
Right.
Now, that cost has to be factored in upfront to see what is going to be the full life cycle cost.
Right.
So, as a result, I feel that when people have started getting this knowledge and have started putting all this together, they are really looking at multiple solutions available for them.
Right.
And hence, we feel that the multiple solutions will coexist.
So, can I put you on a spot and help me understand how do you see the powertrain mix of the future, say 2030, 2035? How do you see petrol, diesel, CNG, EVs? I mean, how do you see the mix?
Well, let's make it EV versus other fuels, because for us, all other solutions require a legacy product.
Right.
So I would put EV anywhere between 25 to 30% by 2035.
Right.
This is what we expect the
Which
kind
means
of penetration.
There's a large part is going to be powered by legacy products and ICE, right?
There'll be almost close to 70% of the products which will still be. And please keep in mind that every year we are looking at a 5 to 6% CAGR growth.
Absolutely.
In a country like India, where the penetration of four-wheelers in the country today is less than 4 or 5% in the household. So we expect that the CAGR of growth of around 5 to 6% will continue.
Which means that the scale will be significant.
When there is a 6% growth that is happening over the next 10 years, let's say, that means there is going to be close to a 60, if you take a cumulative average, it will be more than 60%.
Right.
Now, when you are having a 60% growth and you are having a 35% penetration, I still produce 30% more ICE products that I am going to,
Absolutely.
So as a result, we see the market growing in all the spheres. So it is very important for us to be able to earmark the investments that will be required for both our legacy products as well as the new businesses.
Right. But like we were discussing earlier, the environmental challenge is there, or all upon us. And when you look at the future, how much more cleaner can the ICE get with the with first is the WLTP and followed up by BS7?
Yeah.
Are we going to get into much more cleaner
So
combustion engines?
the aim has always been to go into cleaner and cleaner fuel, emissions. Now, so that's going to be a given, and that's going to happen continuously. And what does it require? It requires multiple changes in the kind of fuel injections. It requires multiple changes in the products that we give, the frictional resistance to be reduced, the coatings and other things to be completely revamped, and also the emission controls to be maintained in such a manner that the NOx and other particles can be well within the norms. Now, with Euro 6 to Euro 7 also we expect a big change, and as we go along, we expect that this drive will continue. And we will be coming into solutions which are going to be more and more cleaner. And I think the race between EV and this, and for the EV it will be from a well to wheels perspective,
right?
And for a ICE engine it will be from a emissions perspective,
right?
And I think this race is going to continue.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be an interesting race for us because we are present in both the solutions.
Absolutely. And there's a bridge along the way, which is the hybrids.
Yes.
A lot of Japanese car makers, Maruti Suzuki and Toyota have already committed to that future. We are seeing all the other players also getting into that space. How do you see hybrid as a potential alternative for future? It's going to be a long bridge. Do you see that as a good opportunity?
We see it as an excellent opportunity. Now, the reason why I say this is because I have always maintained that hybrids is a solution which is going to be an in-between solution. If you really look at the emissions, lineup, and from the portfolio standpoint, you will always see that first, from a high emission standpoint, I will say if we put ICE engines there, then we have multiple biofuels and all that.
Right.
Then third comes the hybrid, and then pure electric, where even the powering up is happening with a renewable
source,
and powering up with the thermal solution will probably come in between somewhere.
Right.
It will come between the ICE and the biofuels,
right,
or somewhere near the biofuels.
Right.
So if that is the kind of a scenario that we have on an overall scale, I feel that we have to have solutions which will be there for all.
Right.
And hybrid is one of them where we have started working for hybrids, I don't know, for now more than 5 to 6 years now.
Right.
And we are already giving now products which goes into hybrid solutions to most of our customers.
Right.
And we find that the customers now ask for power solutions where the hybrid will perform in tune with the electric motors and controllers. So we have to have a very good kind of a switching mechanism which will ensure that at a certain speed the vehicle is able to move into the ICE solution. That way, not really making a big issue with the battery kind of battery that we have to size up. So we can size the battery well, and we can have multiple within the hybrid also. We can have multiple ranges.
Right.
One for low range, one for high range, and one for medium range.
Sure.
As a result, what will happen is depending on the kind of solutions that the customer want, you will have products available.
Right.
So I feel this is going to be a very long play because you have multiple combinations that can come in.
True.
And because you can have these multiple combinations coming in, and with the kind of markets that we have, very diverse market that we have,
right,
you need diverse products.
Right.
And if you don't have those diverse products, then you are not going to cater to all segments of the market,
right,
and all segments of the customers. So as a result, it becomes necessary for us to think in those terms, that
have a diversified
when you have such a portfolio which is going to get so well diversified, you need products for that. And I am very happy to state that we are working on multiple solutions.
Fantastic.
As far as Shriram Pistons is concerned.
Fantastic. So from diversification of powertrains, Shriram Pistons has also made critical inroads into non-powertrain area. Yeah. That's a critical part of your diversification strategy. Help us understand a couple of acquisitions in the last 2 years, first with Takahata and now recently with
Surely, I'll do that. But before that, I want to also highlight one particular important point, that for the hybrid solutions, apart from the hybrid solutions, we are also working on to areas like hydrogen engines.
Absolutely, that's a critical part in commercial
I'm happy
vehicle.
to state that we have solutions for hydrogen engines. We have solutions for various hydrogen blended CNG engines, etc.
Fantastic.
So those products are also gaining ground, as I see.
Fantastic.
Now coming to the, we have always
Diversification.
believed, from a diversification standpoint, we have always believed that there will be two segments of the market that will be there for us. One is clearly a powertrain solution,
Right.
because we are always a powertrain solution provider,
Powertrain expert.
a powertrain expert. And the second one is going to be anything that is agnostic to the powertrain.
Right.
So we have always believed that we have to look at all the other products that we attack as something that is agnostic to the powertrain.
Right.
And that is what we have maintained, and we have always gone into all the investments that we have done into other areas like the plastic injection molding business that we are in
Right.
with Takahata as well as with Timex now.
Right.
Is all done with a clear purpose that we get into an niche area of plastic injection molding,
Right.
which gives solutions for multiple products inside the vehicle.
Right.
Like it could be going inside a steering system, it could be a product which goes into a seat belt
Right.
system, it could be something which goes into a braking solution,
Right.
etc., etc. So
Right.
we provide all those products, and those products are all displayed here.
Right. Fair to say it is just the start that we see further more diversification opportunity, and you've relied on partnerships and acquisitions. What is the path towards further diversification?
Well, the path will continue to be that of partnership, and the path will be continuing to work on areas which are agnostic to the powertrain. At the same time, investing for the current powertrain solutions that we have, because
Right.
we have to do both.
Both, yeah.
And we have to balance this well,
Yeah.
and at the same time ensure that we are able to grow the franchise.
Right.
And that's the way we have grown over the last 5 years. And I think I am looking at a good over 15% growth every year, and that's something that I've challenged my team.
Fantastic.
We want to continue to outgrow the markets,
Right.
the end markets, and I think we have done that well over the last 5 years.
M&A is going to be a critical part of the future, given the fact that Timex was acquisition, Takahata was more of a joint venture.
Yeah.
M&A is a way to accelerate yourself. in
Yeah,
that
we are
space?
looking at M&A as one of the faster ways of investing into the areas that we want to get into. And I think M&As will have both the perspective, both the flavors. One is that of a joint venture, one is a full takeover.
Right.
And we are working on both.
Right.
And we are seeing that there are good possibilities
Right.
in those areas, and we want to ensure that we explore all the possibilities.
Given that you are diversifying into a variety of customer base and products, how are you structuring as an organization to bring alignment of various businesses and have one direction?
Yeah, so it's a very important question again,
Yeah.
and something which is very close to my heart.
Yeah.
That bringing common culture across various organizations
Yeah.
is a very, very difficult process.
Yeah,
So
indeed.
we believe in bringing a common thread between all the organizations. So all the mergers and acquisitions that we have done over the last 5 years, we have ensured that we give those companies a good amount of freedom,
Right.
but at the same time bring them within the kind of a culture that we want to grow. Our culture is driven by what we call as our 6P culture, where our 6 principles drive the whole company. This is a common thread for the entire organization, where we believe in values and respect, and we believe in openness and transparency in the way we work. We believe in challenging the status quo. We ensure that we are always learning.
Fantastic.
And we always want to execute. We believe in faster execution and appreciation and motivation for all the employees. So this kind of, when you have a very clear culture that's impregnated into the organization, at the same time it's also made to work across various organizations, it becomes easier for us to integrate the teams. And I'm very happy to state that the teams have integrated well.
Indeed challenging, and also challenging is the ask to the employees of growing at 15%. Market actually has slowed down significantly, albeit on a high base. How do you manage this volatility? Again, market has gone down to almost 3-4% when it comes to passenger vehicles, slowing down across segments. How do you de-risk operation in that sense?
Yeah, again a very interesting question, because when I said 15%, I meant 15% plus. So
wow.
it's not certainly 15%. So we want to
Grow much faster.
faster. But in an acquisition scenario, it is possible.
Right.
But at the same time, for a legacy product to grow at that level, at that percentage, it's certainly difficult.
Right.
For example, last year our business has been quite hard.
Yeah.
With the way the markets have been.
Right.
But at the same time, we have always seen that we outgrow the market.
Right. Right.
And we have, believed in continuing our outgrowth.
Right.
And that's what has happened. And coupled with the acquisition that we have had, we have still seen that we are able to grow at the targets that we have set for ourselves last year. The process we think should continue that way. And we have to be very akin to the kind of a market situation that we have, and be able to very quickly, adjust between the various businesses to be able to still meet our targets of.
So what are the key levers for you to grow then?
Well, we have multiple levers here. First is of course our customers, end customers, and secondly is the OEM customers as we call it. The second is of course we also grow in the aftermarket.
Right, that's a critical lever.
That's a pretty good lever that we have there. And then thirdly, we also have over 20% sales going through to our exports business. And in exports, we are trying to find newer markets. For example, for our legacy products, we have gone into segments like the snowmobiles and other applications, which are marine applications, which were not there a few years back. We find that there's a good growth possible there, and there are very least amount of chances for those businesses to become electric.
Right, right.
So as a result, I feel that the trend has to continue for both the legacy business and the.
So diversified products, diversified geography, diversified consumer base is a way for you.
That's a way for us. Yeah.
But it is happening at a time when there's a lot of talk about tariff challenges, and is that an opportunity or a threat? We were hearing of China Plus as an opportunity for future. Have you seen benefits of that? And given the current volatile environment that we have, how do you see the exports market evolving?
Well, I see this in two ways. One is certainly as a China Plus strategy. I think it has been a positive story.
Right.
We are seeing a number of our businesses growing primarily because of the China Plus One strategy. Now, coming to the tariff situation, I think we feel that this tariff situation is something that every country has to look after itself, and then some of the countries, what they are doing is basically what is required for their country.
Right.
So we have to align ourselves to those kind of a situation. But from the current situation that we are in today, I always I look at it relatively. Relatively, I feel that India is in a much better situation than some of the other countries.
Why do you say so?
Because number one, our relationships are better.
Right.
Number one, and number two, I think government being stable has been able to also bring in policies which are able to work in a manner which is beneficial for both the countries, like our trade agreements.
Right.
There are a good amount of trade agreements that have been signed over the last 4 or 5 years. The government has done an excellent job of even discussing the newer trade agreements with US and others.
Right.
So I'm sure that these trade agreements will bring in a possibility of opportunities, which will actually give us a lot of areas to work in.
No,
and I feel that is the area that we should attack.
One thing I'm very curious to get to know from you is that you were in China. You've lived there. We often compare India to China, but their scale is at a completely different magnitude.
Correct.
When we look at ourselves as a rival to China in this China Plus strategy, what are the potential opportunities or areas of edge that India has, and where can India actually can't compete with China?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question again. Yes, I've lived in China for a pretty good amount of time, and I have seen that phase change that happened in China. At a time when they were going electric, and I was there at a time when the ICE engine was still there in China. It's still there even now, but at that time they were talking in 2025 that it will become 80% electric.
Right.
That has not happened.
That has not happened.
That's not happened primarily because of all this infrastructure and other issues.
Yeah.
Right, but they have gone pretty good on electric, and
very
you can
aggressive.
see that they are going also quite rapidly there. There are certain things where India can compete with China, certain things where India can't compete.
Right.
I think that with the way the country is structured now and kind of investments that have been done, I don't think we can scale up at the level that China is operating today. The kind of scale that they operate today is completely fantastic.
Yeah.
And they are supported by the government in terms of those kind of investments that have been done.
Right.
As a result, they are able to still deliver at costs which are much, much competitive
Right.
as compared to our costs.
Right.
So I feel that where India has to beat them is purely on skills and on technology.
Right.
And that is an area where I feel that India is well positioned.
Yeah.
Right. And India is also quite well positioned on the service sector.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think a combination of all this, including AI, will be something that for the future is going to make a big difference for India if we focus on that.
Right.
Including the semiconductors, the electronics, the AI industry, and with the kind of skill set that we have from the service industry standpoint. I think you can combine all this together and be able to compete with China in that area. Now coming to manufacturing, on the manufacturing side, I feel that we have to continue to scale.
Right.
Because if we don't scale up and if we are not able to get our costs down, we won't be competitive against China.
Right.
So we will always lose out on the competitiveness. But at the same time, on our quality and on our on our manufacturing technology and edge, I think we still score slightly better than China.
Right. Right.
So, and the biggest advantage is another big advantage that we have against China is English.
Right. Absolutely. Communication.
Communication is much better. I think the customers can understand us much better as compared to the Chinese, but they are also picking up that quite fast. Having lived in China, I can see a big change that has happened there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, fantastic. So I think the future is multi-fuel and the opportunity for India is much bigger, and so for Shriram Pistons Rings. Thank you very much for talking to all of our profession.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ketan.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.